March 30th is always kind of a special day to me. March 30th of 2016, I was sick. I was coughing real hard, had chest congestion, and I got in the shower and I started coughing, and every time I coughed, it just felt like my back was about to break, and little did I know it was. I actually got on my hands and knees right before my L5 vertebra actually collapsed. And eventually I was able to turn the water off, and I don't really remember standing up or getting dressed. I was at home alone, and I was in our upstairs bathroom, and I had to crawl down the stairs, and I couldn't pick my feet up, so I was shuffling like I'd had a stroke. And I made it to my truck, and of course, being in Louisiana, I drive a four-wheel drive, so I had to drag myself into the truck, and instead of going to the hospital, I went to work. Yep, I did. Called my assistant, told her I needed her to meet me out in the parking lot, and she said, "Why?" I said, "Because I can't get out of the truck. I'm going to need some help." So I stayed at work all day. That night, honestly, I spent the whole night in tears, and finally, the next day, I went to my primary care doctor, who now has multiple myeloma, by the way, and I won't say his name, but he's a member of our group, and so is his wife, and he's actually at UAMS right now. And so anyway, I went to see him the next day, and he did x-rays and told me that I needed to go to the emergency room because I had all kinds of damage to my spine. And I told him, I said, "I'm not going to the emergency room. You know me better than that." I said, "I'm tough. Give me some painkillers. I can handle it." And he told me it was going to take a week to get me in for the MRI, and it did. And the funny thing is, as I was walking out of his office, I stopped and I asked him, I said, "What's the chances you think I've got bone cancer?" Which I know multiple myeloma is a cancer of the blood, but I didn't know that back then. And of course, I'd never even heard of multiple myeloma. And he said he wasn't even thinking that way until I said that. But it did take about a week to get me in. They did the MRIs on a Friday, and he called me on Monday morning about 10 o'clock, and I answered the phone, and first thing out of his mouth was, he said, "You're right, it's cancer. How did you know?" Oh, he said, "It's cancer and it's bad. How did you know?" And I said, "Well, I think God was just preparing me for this phone call." It really wasn't a big shock to me. Somehow I just knew. And anyway, so, he said, "I've got you a room reserved at the hospital. You need to be there either today or in the morning at the latest." And I said, "All right, I've got some work I've got to finish up. I'll be there tomorrow." So I called my wife, told her I had cancer, and tried to finish up some things at the office because I figured I'd be out for a while. And anyway, ended up in my local hospital, and then had a bad reactions to some pain meds, and I won't really go into the details, but I spent a little less than a week there, and it was a pretty rough go, but ended up at UAMS. And I'll just cut to the chase. Basically found out that I had fractures in every vertebra, had clusters of fractures like spider webs through my ribs and sternum, had lesions all over my body. The largest one was about the size of an egg in my ribs. And they told my wife that my skull looked like Swiss cheese, so because of all the holes in it. And I did 2 rounds of, I went to UAMS. They recommended me go to UAMS. That's about a 3.5 hour drive from where we live. That's in Little Rock. And we actually have a lot of members of our group that are treated there. And I did 2 rounds of VDT PACE therapy, which is much more aggressive than what most people go through in the initial treatments. Lost all my hair. Did 2 rounds of that. Had to stay there in Little Rock for roughly 3 weeks. Come home for a month. Went back. Did that again. They collected my stem cells on that trip, and went home for about 30 days, came back, did my first stem cell transplant, and then I ended up doing tandem transplants, basically 2 of them within probably less than 90 days. So anyway, main thing is that I had no idea that day, March 30th of 2016, would take me down the path of becoming a patient advocate and having an impact on other people's lives and being able to help other people and just bring them comfort and knowledge and support. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And I've prayed for many years that God would use me to be a blessing to others. And I think He's done that. I didn't know it was going to take cancer to do it, but whatever it takes, right? And I'm sure by now you're wondering why I'm in a hospital bed here on March 30th of 2025. But I was having some chest pains, more pressure than pains, and it's been getting worse over a couple of weeks. So I've actually been here. Today is Sunday, I think, and I've actually been here since Monday. So I was kind of keeping it quiet, but all the tests so far have been good. So I do have a heart cath scheduled for tomorrow, and we'll find out if, I've got some blockage or something, or if it's all in my head, which is quite possible. I will tell you that I had a heart cath in 2023, and they told me I had about a 40% blockage in the Widowmaker, and they tested the flow, and it was good enough to where they didn't feel like they needed to do a stent. So, I guess maybe I'm a little bit paranoid, to say the least. And since I started having this pressure in my chest, I figured it was just best to go ahead and get it checked out. I'm trying to make adult decisions for a change. Anyway, so that's what's going on. I'm doing good. I'm fine. I've just been honestly laying in bed and watching Netflix all week, and been watching a real good series on anyway, it doesn't matter, Paramount Plus. But just wanted to say thank you for all your prayers. I've kept this kind of quiet, so most of you probably didn't know about it. I didn't want people worrying and blowing this out of proportion, so I'm actually not worried about the heart cath at all. I don't think God's done with me yet, so I think I've still got a lot to do. And anyway, so just kind of letting everybody know what's going on. And for those of you newly diagnosed, I just encourage you to look around and just be thankful for the things in your life that you have to be thankful for. Your family, your friends, and look for opportunities to help others. Selfishly, I have found that the best thing I can do for myself is to do things for others, because it gives me purpose and gives me joy and brings a lot of light into the darkness. So, if you're kind of down, just try to think of somebody else and maybe try to help them, or try to help people in our community, and just stop focusing on yourself and focus on others. And I believe that it'll bring you a lot of joy and a lot of purpose in your life, and it'll help you a lot with your attitude if you're feeling down. So anyway, I appreciate your prayers, and y'all have a great day. And I want to thank you all for your engagement in the group and for how much you are helping the members of our community. And like I said, for those of you newly diagnosed, just know that there is hope. Dr. Google needs malpractice insurance for some of the things that it says. And we've got members that have had multiple myeloma for 25, 30 years plus. So that's it. Have a great day. Bye.